which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan he did not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to a new episode of our program, Islamic Law Today. It is a great honor to have you all with us here this evening, and it is also a great honor to welcome our dear Professor Muhammad Saie. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan.
My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Professor Saie is a professor of Islamic law at a number of American universities. He is also a member of the Fatwa Committee of AMJAD, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America. And tonight, inshallah, we're talking about a very important topic, a topic that might be on the minds of a lot of people, a topic that where many brothers and sisters may have passed through this trial or this tribulation. We're talking tonight about divorce, something that has become so prevalent in our societies today, an issue that we really don't know how to deal with correctly, how to avoid it, and how in some cases it is the best solution. Especially as I was talking with Professor Saie before the episode, he told me that especially he's seeing in the West amongst young people, the issue of divorce is increasing, especially in the first year of marriage. So today we're talking with Professor Saie from the perspective of Islamic law on the issue of divorce. Professor Saie.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت واصرف عنا يا مولانا وعن المسلمين السر وسوء ما قدرت وقضيت اللهم فرج الكرب عنا وعن المكروبين ونفس الهم عنا وعن المهمومين أحسن خلاص المسجونين وفك أسر المأسورين اللهم إنا نسألك أن تكون للثكالى والمساكين واليتامى وللمظلومين اللهم عليك بالظالمين وعليك بالطغاة والمستبدين اللهم شتت شملهم وفرق جمعهم واجعل دائرة السوء عليهم يا رب العالمين مزقهم كل ممزق واجعلهم أحاديث أرنا فيهم عبرك وآياتك وبطشك وبأسك إنك أنت العزيز القوي المتين ألهمنا رشدنا واستعملنا صالحين علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا من لدنك علما اجعل أعمالنا ونياتنا وأقوالنا كلها خالصة لوجهك الكريم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين اللهم آمين أما بعد. As you said, my son Osama, that a divorce is very dislikable issue. It's a very dislikable topic to start with. But sometimes as if that you are talking about a wound that you have to deal with it. Talking about maybe a real difficult or problem. You cannot run away from it. You have to deal with it and you have to talk about it. But sometimes divorce is not that ugly that way. Sometimes could be the relief that you have to take. Maybe the very hard maybe decision you have to make. Sometimes the very maybe complicated surgery you have to do. So let us see how Islam was so wise, because this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about divorce as we talk about marriage. As I mentioned maybe in some other occasions, that many people in our modern time, they are not paying attention to the real meaning of divorce in Islam. This divorce issue has turned to be like a weapon in the hand of the man, most likely, because he has a right to make that decision, where in the West they don't have it this way. It is very common to hear the woman, I divorced my husband, or to hear the man saying, I've been divorced. He was divorced by his wife. But let us talk from Islamic law perspective, inshallah ta'ala. Originally, yes, the man should take the decision of divorcing his wife, sometimes without even counseling with her, without even talking with her, sometimes like in mutual agreement between him and his wife to make that decision. But at the end, he will be taking that decision and he will be executing that maybe agreement between him and his wife. So what divorce means? If you go to the Arabic language and try to, because sometimes word does play a big role in our life.
Yes.
And subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you talk about divorce in Islam, he said, let me check on the Arabic language what the meaning of divorce. Divorce comes from the meaning of like releasing. Like you are releasing something, as if sometimes this common and beautiful meaning. You are releasing yourself from that maybe chain, like you are releasing the prisoners, or you are releasing, taking this slave, releasing him to be a free one. So that case means that divorce does not mean necessarily to be an ugly thing. Even we have a hadith, and it's very important to pay attention to our viewers about this hadith, because this hadith is very common hadith and very famous hadith among many people. They have in their mind as if that it is like very authentic hadith. Let us see. This hadith state this sentence by saying, أبغض الحلال إلى الله طلاق. أبغض الحلال إلى الله طلاق. The most dislikable, maybe lawful. Could be that this is the meaning. The most dislikable lawful issue in Islam or to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is divorce. This hadith, unanimously among Muslims, scholars specialized in hadith, is not a authentic hadith. It is a weak hadith.
Yes.
But even the meaning here, could we say that, yes, al-talaq, generally speaking, is very dislikable thing to Allah or to Islam? We can say yes, because divorce, generally speaking, is against the permanent marriage life. When you are divorcing the wife, when someone divorces his wife, that means he is cutting, he is breaking the relationship between him and his wife. And this kind of action does not come under the category of or status of likable in Islam. It is dislikable to cut relationship with any Muslim. What about if that Muslim was your wife? It is not good to cut your relationship with your mother, your father, your daughter, your son, your sister, your neighbor. So what about your partner in your life? Your real partner is your wife. Should be a very dislikable action. That's why we'll see, inshallah, how Islam was so wise and so delicate in making this issue one of its maybe not just scientific sign of being the law coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to be in the same time a very beautiful issue to talk about. Let us start by saying this, inshallah azza wa jal. Divorce in Islam, generally speaking, it is lawful for someone married someone and then he felt that he is not able to continue this life with this lady, or the lady felt that he is not for her best interest in this life to continue this marriage with that man. So either she asked her husband to divorce her, or she asked him to do something to finish this life. And by his decision, he decided to divorce her. She asked him to find a solution for their problem. She is not happy, woman. And none of us like to see someone unhappy person. And especially if that comes to the marriage life. They say, and it's true, if you are happy in your marriage life, you are happy everywhere. If you are unhappy in your marriage life, you are unhappy everywhere. Because marriage life is maybe everything in your life.
The cornerstone of your life.
Subhanallah, the cornerstone of your life. It is the source of every maybe good action or maybe sometimes bad action in your life. The source or maybe the reason of every good decision in your life or bad decision in your life. So this life, Islam has given it very special care by its rules to try to make this marriage life to stay as longer as it's possible and to make it a happy life as much as possible. But sometimes this not happening because of many reasons. We'll talk about these reasons later on, inshallah ta'ala. So generally speaking, it is lawful to see divorce in a Muslim marriage life. But is it very easy? Does Islam make it very easy? It's just one word to someone to say to his wife, you are divorced, anti taliq, or I'm divorcing you, أنا أطلقك now, الآن, or you are a divorced woman, or consider yourself as a divorced woman. Just word, few words can finish the whole things. Does it come in this easy way? Well, from Islamic law perspective, if someone said to his wife, my wife, you are divorced, and he's in a total sane, he's not insane, he's in full control to his mind, to his decision. Nobody is pressing him or put any pressure on him. No one just raise a gun against him to say this word. He did say it willingly, and he was full aware about the meaning of this word. His wife would be divorced. But this is just the beginning of this issue. Islam said, before you say that word, before you decide that very crucial decision in your life, you have to consider many things. Why did you start your life with this lady first? What does make you come to that decision later on? And sometimes by just restudying, reviewing the case by himself, he will just maybe regret his intention to divorce his wife. So we have to say this, inshallah ta'ala, regarding of how some Muslim, is very easy to say the word of divorce and put it in his tongue and to make all this disaster to his family. And you could imagine this kind of maybe hardship or that tragedy if just you're talking about the couple, just husband and wife. If you talk about like husband and wife and children, and after maybe 20 years of marriage, the disaster would be imagined maybe in different way. So the more time they spend together and then they broke up, the more disaster you are seeing and the more tragedy you are watching in this case. Let us talk about some divorce rules in Islam. How Islam was making the divorce, as it does appear to be very easy to execute it, how Islam does make it very hard to practice it, or to see it, or to maybe practice it. It's amazing. First of all, Islam, before you imagine divorce, you have to imagine marriage. You cannot divorce unless you are married. That's why one of the Islamic law rule, if someone say while he was with the company of some of his friends, joking sometimes, maybe showing his maybe manhood, that he's a very strong man, a very owning his decision, he said, well, any woman will be marrying me in the future, she will be divorced. Or he was talking about a specific lady, or specific maybe girl. He said, well, I'm intending to marry this girl, inshallah ta'ala, but she will be divorced after I married her. That divorce does not take place, is invalid divorce.
Because it happened before the marriage.
Yeah, because divorce does not take place unless you have a marriage.
Yes.
So that divorce is invalid, it does not make any sense, and is not considered in Islamic law rules. So that means we have to have marriage first. So before that divorce happens or takes place, we have to look at the marriage itself. And marriage Islam is not like for a joy, like very quick pleasure, like they have it in some other maybe sect, call it nikah al-mut'a. They just marry for a certain time and for a certain joy and pleasure, and then they finish everything. Marriage in Islam is, as you know, my son, is like a full responsibility, is a dream to come true, is a part of building the whole nation, is a part of building the whole maybe mankind, Because you have a healthy family, you have a healthy nation, you have a healthy nation, you have a healthy universe, you have a healthy human beings. So you have to choose the woman, you have to choose the lady, you have to choose your wife. A wife does have to choose her husband. So we have to put some kind of proof that you are very serious. That issue brings us to the issue of dowry and marriage responsibilities. When someone gets married, he will buy a home or rent a home. He will furnish that home. You know about this, right? Because you are fresh, alhamdulillah, it's responsibilities. And this responsibility by itself, when someone does not notice this big wisdom in Islam, in the beginning it's like a joy. You are preparing your home, the marriage home. This is like your love nest. You are trying to make it as much as to be the nicest, maybe one in the whole maybe trees, or the whole maybe forest, to be like the best one. But at the same time, Islam has meant it to be this way, to be in the future, in some occasion, in some moment, to be like the barriers, to be like grabbing you in a very strong maybe ropes to say, wait, you cannot make it. It's not that easy, you think. You have built something. Because when you build a beautiful home, it's not easy for you to have the decision to bring someone to destroy the whole building, right?
That's true.
So marriage comes this way, subhanAllah ta'ala. So even it does appear to be like very easy to say you are divorced, but it is not easy in a practical way. If you put everything together, you put the whole marriage maybe concept, the whole marriage wisdom, the whole marriage philosophy in Islam, and all these rules, when you have a real Islamic marriage, does not come this easy way. But subhanAllah ta'ala, even this very understandable in Islam, but some people, they don't listen to all of this, so they decide to go further and further and to make that decision. They want to divorce their wife. If we talk about like very regular case in divorce, that this man is not happy with his wife, and this wife is not happy with her man. Now, regardless who is responsible for this unhappiness in their life, let us just put it this way, that they are not happy. They are very living in a very miserable life. So decide to take marriage. How Islam does make it still hard for them to get divorced. Even as I said, from a theoretical point of view, it's very easy. You are divorced, she is divorced. Anti talaq, she is innaha talaq. But Islam does make some rules here. He said, well, listen, my respected Islam followers, even it is one word, but you cannot make it in every time. You have to choose the right time to do it. If your wife, during her circle, you cannot do it. It is the at-talaq al-bid'i. It is again the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Where many scholars, they consider this invalid divorce. While many of them, most of them, they consider it to be a valid divorce. But they said you are, plus you are divorcing, you are destroying your home, you are disturbing your life, and you are bringing some negative meanings to the life of everyone. But at the same time, you are adding to that by committing a sin. You are going against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam instructions and directions. So you cannot make divorce at that time. Even scholars, many scholars of them, they say it is valid, but you cannot from Islamic perspective, not Islamic perspective, Islamic perspective, as if that you are committing a sin here, putting yourself under the category of disobedient person. So he said you cannot divorce your wife during her circle, or during maybe her, she's clean, but you did have a relationship with her, sexual relationship with her. You have to wait till she finish this period and she come to the another circle of her time, then to have another one. So you have to wait about maybe how many days?
Sometimes it can be up to maybe like 40 days.
So this is like you are postponing the divorce decision. So just could you imagine that someone, he decided like this minute, this day, we are on 18th of February, right? No, we are, I don't know, I forgot. I forgot really, I don't know which date we are now, but we are, suppose we are like in in the third day of March, or maybe third day of maybe April, and someone decided at maybe 3 o'clock p.m. to divorce his wife, and we told him he cannot do it. You have to wait like 30 days, or maybe 40 days, or maybe 25 days, or maybe 20 days till you be able to divorce your wife. During these 20 days, he is living with his wife, and his wife is living with him, and she is the same lady. She was practicing with him very beautiful meanings in their life. She was the beautiful wife. She was the very maybe a merciful person to him, very kind person to him, and he still remembers some very maybe beautiful moment in his life. So by these days, he started to regret, and he started to reviewing his decision, and at the end he will say, well, I don't have to do it. My beautiful lady, my beautiful wife, I'm sorry. It was a very wrong maybe intention. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved our life by putting these Islamic rules. Or maybe sometimes that person, he rushed la hawla la quwwata illa billah to that decision, and he made that word. But subhanAllah, he was so angry. He was so angry till the extent that he does not know what he was saying. Now we come to the status of the divorce of the angry person, talaq al-ghadban. So we talk about the first thing, the talaq al-sunnah or talaq al-bid'ah. So he was intending to divorce his wife, but fortunately he was choosing the wrong time. So he cannot make this divorce, because the divorce will be against the sunnah of Rasulullah. So we delayed his decision, we postponed his decision 20 days, 25 days, 30 days, till he regret what he was intending to do, till everything was fixed up, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, and they started to continue their life in a very normal way. The second case we have, how Islam was making it another barrier here, to just try to grab him and to not make him able to make the decision. Even does appear to be very easy for him to say divorce, or the word divorce. He was divorcing his wife in a very anger situation, condition. And we have this Islamic law issue to define which kind of anger. Muslim scholars, they said, does not make the divorce happens or be a valid divorce. They talk about this issue. They have different opinion on this issue, how to define this one, but I just bringing maybe the conclusion of all of this to be like benefiting the whole concept of the divorce from Islamic law perspective. That suggests to say, if someone was so angry, and that anger was in the extent of making that person saying something without even feeling it, as if that he was saying something without consulting with his mind. He was reflecting his anger.
Without realizing that he actually said it.
Yes. That word was the reflection of his anger, not the reflection of his decision, not the reflection of his total awareness of what he is about to do. Not by asking himself or taking advice from his life by reviewing his marriage life, then he did come to that decision by divorcing his wife. It was like at the sudden, he had like one moment, that reflection of his anger, so that word come to reflect his anger, not to reflect his mind or his real decision. So if you ask him about himself after he said that word, did you know what you said? What I said? You divorced his wife. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Did I? Yes, you did. To that extent, he said something out of his control, reflecting his anger, not reflecting his full awareness and his mind and his decision and all the normal maybe character of him. If that happened, that they call it talaq al-madhoosh in some school of thought, instead of talaq al-ghadban, the divorce of the angry man, they call it the divorce of the shocked person, as if that he was shocked, he was insane, not in a full medical definition, but somehow he is insane at that time because he is not in control of his tongue. His tongue was moving, was saying, was expressing his anger, not expressing his own decision. They call it talaqu al-madhush. If that happened or took a place, that divorce would not be valid from Islamic law perspective, as a conclusion of many Islamic thought in this issue. So another case we have here in Islam is giving some kind of like red light for that person, or creating or fabricating, if you could say that, fabricating some kind of procedures or some kind of maybe tools to grab that person and to preventing him from divorcing his wife by talking about Islamic law issues of talaq al-ghadban, talaq al-sakran, the divorce of the drunk person, the divorce of the angry man, or as we said, the divorce of unwilling person. The person was under a very hard maybe pressure and stress. He was not doing it willingly. He was under a real pressure till he was being threatened. His life was threatened. That's why he did say that word. So in these three maybe cases, the divorce of the drunk person, the divorce of angry person, or divorce under real anger, to that extent we have defined.
Yes.
And the divorce, the unwilling divorce, happened under pressure and the real threaten. And all these cases just take a category of invalid divorce. We have to talk about maybe the drunk person who is drunk. Can we differentiate between a person who is drunk because of his action, that he was the person causing that situation to himself, or someone was being given a drink and he did not know that drink would make him a drunk person?
Yes.
Or maybe was giving some medicine, maybe some medication, and make him like drowsy. He felt drowsiness, or maybe as if that he is not able to stand. He lost his balance. He's not even his mind to make any kind of decision. He's in between these cases. That might happen. So many scholars, they say this is a big difference between someone who was like go to that bar, God forbid, or maybe he was drinking at his home, God forbid, subhanAllah, and he to become drunk. Then he divorced his wife. Some scholars said if he did to himself that, he become drunk by his action, will punish him by making his divorce a valid divorce. But some other scholars said no, regardless of his situation, the divorce in the drunk situation will not be a valid divorce. But in any case, you could take the sense of that another barrier here Islam has put in that regard, just to make the divorce is an invalid divorce, just to try to stop this maybe very harmful decision in the marriage life of these two couples, just to make it, to bring it back to the normal life.
Jazakallah khairan. We're going to take a short break, inshallah. When we come back, I want to ask you a few questions. Most importantly, the issue of divorcing one's wife 3 times in 1 time, and how would that count from an Islamic law perspective? My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, please stay with us. We're talking today about the issue of divorce from the perspective of Islamic law. We'll be back in a moment, inshallah.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Huda TV awarded for excellence. By the grace and blessings of Allah, on the 2nd of February 2012, Huda TV was honored by the Forum for Social Studies based in London, with branches in Canada and Saudi Arabia, represented by Dr. Abdullah Omar Nasif in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with the Award of Excellence. This prestigious award is presented annually to individuals and organizations that have excelled in the field of English language Islamic media. Dr. Hamid Al-Khamas, the chairman of Huda TV and Madge Channels Group, received the distinguished award on behalf of Huda TV.
فقد سعدنا ولله الحمد في هذا المساء بتكريم لقناة الهدى، وهي القناة الناطقة باللغة الإنجليزية، منذ ما يزيد على 7 سنوات ولله الحمد، وهي تبث على الهوت بيرد وعلى النايل سات، وحصل لها ولله الحمد حضورا طيبا في أكثر الدول الأوروبية.
May Allah grant Huda TV all success and ever make it a source of authentic Islamic knowledge.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome back. Tonight we're talking about the issue of divorce from the perspective of Islamic law with our dear professor, Professor Muhammad Naim Saie. Professor Saie, before the break, I wanted to ask you the famous question that we get all the time. If a person divorces his wife 3 times in one occasion or one time, would that count as 3 divorces or would it count as 1 divorce?
Yeah, this is a big issue in Islamic law regarding the divorce rules. We have to differentiate between many cases happen. Sometimes some people they make it together, they mix it together. They don't notice that it is different between the first case and the second or maybe the third one. If someone divorced his wife in one setting, in one gathering, in one spot, and by saying you are divorced, you are divorced, you are divorced, أنت طالق, طالق, طالق. Not in many cases this word will be considered as a 3 times or 3 divorce time or 3 time divorce. We have to ask the divorcer, if he can use this word, the man who did say this word, what did you intend by repeating the word divorce 3 times? He said, well, I was insisting, was making sure that she did hear me, that I'm divorcing her. So you did not intend to divorce her twice? He said, no, just 1 time. I was just insisting, making sure that she did hear me. I'm delivering to this word to my wife. Well, in that case, if he said, you are divorced, 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 and he intended in the second one to insist, to assure, make sure, the third one, the same thing, that will be considered as 1 divorce unanimously. 1 divorce. He divorced his wife 1 time. He did not mean to repeat the divorce, to divorce his wife twice or 3 times. He just intended just to make sure that she did deliver or receive the message that he's divorcing his wife. But what about, he said, no, I did mean the second one, it did mean it to be a second divorce. What about the 3rd time? He said, the 3rd time was insisting on the second one. That means this is twice. The divorce has taken place twice, according to most of the Muslim scholars. But we have to say that if the one who is divorcing his wife in a status making him able to make the divorce. Suppose he did say 3 times, and he said, I meant by the 2nd time a 2nd divorce, and the 3rd one a 3rd divorce. But his wife was at that time in her circle. We'll come back and into the issue of talaq al-bid'ah. This is a divorce going against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have the Muslim scholars differences in this case. If you adopt the opinion saying that it does not happen, does not take a place, that means his divorce will not be valid. Even if he said 4 times, 5 times, maybe 100 of times, because he did not receive, he did not find the real maybe status or maybe the valid conditions for his divorce to be a valid divorce. But suppose that he was in a situation that to make him able to make a valid divorce at that time, and he said, I meant by the 2nd one, this is the 2nd divorce, but the 3rd time was insisting. That means he did divorce his wife twice. many scholars, as we said, most of them, they said it does take a place and it is valid divorce. Most of them, including the four Imams, Malik, Abu Hanifa, Shafi'i, and Imam Ahmed. Ibn Taymiyyah he has in his opinion, where many people later on they did follow him in that opinion, that he said 3 times does not take a place. Even some of the Muslim scholars, they said even 3, like Ibn Hazm said 3 times does not even make it 1 time. If someone did divorce his wife 3 times in one spot, he is going against the Sunnah of Rasulullah alayhi salam.
So it invalidates the idea of divorce at all.
The whole divorce issue will not be taken place. That divorce will not be a valid divorce.
That's the opinion of Ibn Hazm.
And many scholars modernly, recently, they are taking his opinion. So, but generally speaking, when you hear about this difference among Muslim scholars, that means that the sense of these differences is how to make the divorce is not a very easy thing, even does appear to be easy word, but to make some barriers. Sometimes by very clear Islamic rule, sometimes by some differences. So when someone heard some scholars say that does not happen, does not make it valid, that means I should be very careful, very maybe alert about what I'm going to do in my marriage life. So if I did divorce her, and then I said that divorce is not valid, then I go to my wife like a normal way. Look at this wisdom now. If someone divorced his wife 3 times and he said, well, I will take the opinion of Ibn Hazm, it's not valid divorce at all.
Yes.
Then he go back to his wife, to live with her normally, but he knew that most of the scholars said, no, it is valid.
Yes.
That is some kind of maybe pain he will be lived with by saying, what if these scholars were right about this issue? What if my marriage was invalid marriage because the opinion of these great scholars? That means he would put many consideration to that opinion by saying, let me be in the safe side, I'm not going to divorce my wife right now. You see that point?
Yes, I see.
By just having this difference among Muslim scholars, that will make someone hesitate to take that decision. So this is the answer of this issue. Like some scholars, they said, as I said, they consider it as to be valid, but if he did intend to make it 3 times, by each time he was saying this, if he intended to have it just 1 time, he was insisting on the first one, that will be 1 time, or the second that will be twice. And as I said, sometimes they consider it to be 1 time, even divorce his wife 100 of time.
Another question that's related, this issue of only accepting a divorce that is written instead of a divorce that is said. And some people are calling for it today, and they're even saying that in order to get married you need 2 witnesses. How come in order to divorce your wife you don't need witnesses? And they're saying that the only divorce that should be accepted by governments, and the only divorce that should really count, is a divorce that is written, that is signed.
SubhanAllah, look at this wisdom. If Islam said that in order to get married you have to have, if you go through certain procedures and a process. I'm just talking it about from English language,
Yes.
Process and procedure, but from Islamic law, you have to have 2 witnesses.
Yes.
You have to have the authority of her guardian, and her guardian has to direct the marriage contract. Has to be like yes and acceptance between the husband and wife. It has to be announced, to be not secretly happen, to be publicly known to everyone that this man is marrying this lady. So some kind of procedure and a process you have to go through. And first, before you get to that, you have to go through the procedure of like engagement.
Yes.
You have to visit this family, and you have to make your proposal for the marriage, discussing some kind of dowry issue, some furniture, some preparation for folding, like big preparation for that thing. What is the wisdom behind this? Because it is not easy to say, it is very easy now to marry that lady, to marry this girl from that family by just making it alone. By coming to this lady, I said, my lovely lady, I want to marry you. You accept me as a husband? Yes, that's it. It's valid, marriage. Islam said, no, we're not making this happen this way, because it is not easy to take a part of this family and to try to take the part of their honor and put it in your life, to make it like a play, to make it like some kind of like a play card, to play the way you want and throw it away the way you don't want. We have to make it very hard, appears to be very hard or very maybe serious procedure before you get to that wedding night, to feel the responsibility toward the daughter of this family, as if that you're talking about yourself, that you want your daughter, your sister, to have the best one, to protect her, and to give her the best life in her life. That's why Islam has made it very surrounded by many procedures and process, just to give this responsibility. And that's why in the West, unfortunately, and some maybe it's going on in some other Muslim countries, like boyfriend and girlfriend, what does it take with them to have the very similar to marriage life? Well, they start by this way, dating, then I like you, she likes him. Well, what if we get together again and again, and then some maybe lunch time, dinner time, and then we agree to be boyfriend and girlfriend, we live together, no dowry, no other maybe responsibilities. They are together today. Tomorrow she found another handsome boy or handsome maybe young man, and she liked the other person. Maybe she did the same thing, he did the same thing, and they decided to break up the whole relationship. Some said it is marriage. Even in the West, when these families, they are still the same procedure of marriage, because most of them they go this way, marriage life. That means procedure, process, to feel the responsibility and to give this trust its importance and its value. As if that you are saying about this diamond, it is not just easy to enter that store because I did like that diamond, piece of diamond, I will take it and just run away. No. Who are you? Give me some kind of reference about your credit, your personality. You are able to buy this diamond? Yes, I'm able to buy it. Your credit card, is it valid credit card? No, some kind of like this, just to make some kind of similar example here. So if someone did buy this diamond after, and they said, no, you cannot take it right now, I have to make a special order for you. Because you are asking about special diamond, it has to be a special order. You have to wait. So suppose that someone did buy a diamond, piece, stone, after all these procedures, he will not be able to lose this diamond very easy, or to decide just to sell it out, because he felt the responsibility, he felt the beauty of it, he felt the value of it.
Now, if the entry is rather difficult, why do some people say the exit could be very easy? As in one
this
word?
Is the answer of this now.
Yes.
How Islam has made it very, to be surrounded by many procedures and process, to give you the sense of responsibility, sense of value of this marriage. And then after that, after you marry this lady, you married this daughter maybe, because marriage life by itself will surround you by its own procedures and process and protections. It's like self-protection from within the marriage life. Children, everyone get married. The first maybe dream, the first wish after love, and all this maybe romantic moment, to have a baby, to have a child, to carry his name, or to fill maybe their life with beauty and smile and happiness, right? So they got the first child, the second one, the third one. And the more he loves, the more she loves, the more baby that they get. SubhanAllah wa ta'ala, children by itself like a self-protection to that marriage. Generosity, kindness, good treatment, if he is following. We are talking about now Islamic marriage.
Yes.
Right? If you'd like to imagine that or to feel the wisdom of Islamic law, you have to put it by its way.
Yes.
The way Islam has commanded you to do. You cannot just imagine the Islamic wisdoms from from non-Islamic marriage. Right? So practice the Islamic marriage, then you get the wisdom behind this Islamic marriage. So if you put all these together, children, nice treatment, kindness, generosity, respect between these two couple, and with time by time, year by year, this you are building up you are building up some kind of very solid, very, what they call it, not waterproof, is divorce proof by itself. So when you come to that decision, even as I said, it appears to be just one word to break the whole thing, destroy the whole life. It appears to be easy, but it is in reality, it is very hard. And ask anyone,
Yes.
what is the hardest decision you have made in your life? If he divorced his wife, especially if he loved his wife, he said, well, I divorced my wife.
Jazakallah khairan. We have another issue that's really prevalent in the West, and I'm sure you've heard of it many times, where a Muslim husband and a Muslim wife would say, we're not divorced, but we're separated. And they would be living independent lives without actually being divorced. Now, it is my understanding that even if a wife gets divorced, if it's the first or the second time, she actually has to stay in the house of her husband until her iddah is completed. Now, this concept of separation is something that's valid in Western law, as you know. Like it depends on the state. In the United States, for example, in order for people to actually get divorced through the court, they have to be separated. In some states it's 6 months, in some states it's a year. It depends, where you live. So Muslims are starting to follow that. In order to get this type of divorce, they're saying, okay, we're not living together. We're still technically married Islamically, and the civil marriage as well.
But they live in two separate physical places.
Yes, they live in two separate physical places, but they're not divorced. They're just separated. Is that something that's valid in Islam?
It is very un-Islamic. And this goes directly against the Islamic wisdom of making some barrier against making that hard decision. We'll talk about this from different angles, inshallah ta'ala, to answer this issue.
Inshallah.
How people, they call it the lawmakers or man-made law, did disregard a lot of things, because it is normal for a human being to be limited in his thought, in his decision, in his capability of making the right, maybe, rule sometimes, because he's a human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this way, subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we have the manual book from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to refer to it. The perfect manual book from the God subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Creator, who knows everything. He knows us. He knows what does benefit us, what does harm us, what does suit us. So Islam said, we'll make some barriers before we make that decision. One of these barriers, that if you intending to make a divorce, you cannot make divorce in every time, as we said before. Now, if you are angry out of your woman or your wife, you try to divorce your wife and you have some difficulties, we'll give you some kind of time to think about it again, rethink it over, and let us bring some two rulers or two arbitrators.
Yes.
To just try to judge the things, try to fix up the problems. فَبَعْثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَخَفْتُوا شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا, as Allah said subhanahu wa ta'ala. So trying to fix the problem. And it did not work out. And we said that, well, you'll be able maybe to divorce your wife. To like to appropriately divorce your wife, according to the Sunnah, you divorce it one time, on the right time. So that person, he cannot find the right time, and he did not divorce his wife, or maybe he did find the right time from Islamic law point of view, and he divorced his wife one time according to the Sunnah. What Islam did in this case, instead of saying to be separated physically in two physical places, preparing themselves for a real divorce, Islam said, no, you divorce your wife one time, we'll give it we'll give her something we call it al-iddah, period of time that she has to wait, and she is still under the marriage rules.
And she has to physically live in the same house.
And she is staying with you. We are staying with her. And even many scholars said, well, it is not a bad idea. Why smiling about talking this way? It's not a bad idea. Because some of the scholars, they don't agree about this. It's not a bad idea to try to tempt her husband by anything.
Yes.
And to try to make him regret his decision while they are waiting in the time of the iddah.
Yes.
That period of time after he divorced his wife one time. And as Allah says, مطلقات تربصن بأنفسهن ثلاثة قروء والمطلقات تربصن بأنفسهن ثلاثة قروء. and look at this wisdom in this verse, in this rule, what quru means. Quru means the plural of the single term of qara. What qara means, they have two different definition of the qara. Somebody said the circle, one time circle. Somebody said one time period of cleanness, when she is clean. It might be this one, or it might be the other one. But if you take it both way, you cannot divorce your wife in her circle. You have to wait, and in both ways she has to wait period of time. If you divorce your wife one time, and you said that, they call it at-talaq al-raj'i.
Yes.
The reversible. I could give it this maybe name.
Yes.
The reversible divorce. That means you are able to bring back your wife to your life without even asking her. You divorce her one time, and you said that the second day, or maybe after 1 month, after maybe 15 days, my wife, I regret what I did. I want you back.
Jazakallah khairan. Unfortunately, we ran out of time today. Can we continue talking about this topic next time, inshallah?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, thank you so much for being with us here this evening. We hope you benefited from Professor Saie's words, and inshallah we'll see you next week as we continue to talk about the topic of divorce from the Islamic law perspective. We'll see you then, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan he did not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray.